Halloween
Forever.
Good evening, Steve. How you doing?
I'm doing good, Brian. How you?
Oh, I've been better. I was gonna, historically, I'll do a bad joke at the beginning of the episodes here, but I'm just gonna say the movie is the joke for this episode, and we're gonna go with that. So, welcome, boils and ghouls, to another extra shitty punishment episode of Halloween is Forever. I'm Brian.
I'm Steve. See, in order to do the joke, you should have just said the movie title. You should have just done it like The Aristocrats and be like, the Monster Project.
The Monster Project. That's the joke. Speaking of the Monster Project, Ron, our wonderful friend and patron here in the Discord, you got a lot of balls to show your face in the Discord after this son of a bitchin' movie. Obviously, this was his punishment episode for those of you who are not part of the or did not listen in on the Showdown episode for the lovely month of June. We talked about Korean horror, and Ron is already putting his name in quotes here in the Discord chat. Reigning Patreon champ Ron took it down. It went, of course, to the social media friends and listeners to vote on, and you uncouth, illiterate rubes picked his movie. You picked. No, it was a fun movie, but I'm bitter, obviously, because we didn't take it down. We got beat once again. Gonjem, Haunted Asylum, took down the showdown for the Korean showdown for the month of June. So Ron, of course, to the victor go the spoils. He selected the punishment movie, which we're going to get into here in a hot second. If you looked at the title of the episode there on your Podcatcher app, you already know what it is. We are talking about The Monster Project from 2017, and Ron, I am eager to hear if you have any insight into why the fuck you picked this movie, but we got a couple of things we got to do at the top of the show here. As always, first of all, Steven, are you sipping on anything? Do you got a beer ski? Do you got some other type of bevro? That's short for beverage. I call them bevros now. That's my new phrase.
How very cool of you.
It just came out. I was going to say bevy, and then I was like, bevy is like a bevy of something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was like, that's not right. And then I just panicked and put another syllable, and it was bevro. And I said, all right, you know what? Kind of like how that sounds. So decided just now, that's my new slang for beverage, bevro.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I've heard bevs and I've heard bevy from British people. And that's...
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I don't technically want to put up with that. Should never allow British people to dictate any kind of trends in life. So yeah. But I guess we'll stick with Bevro from you. But I have three.
Can we come up with something better? By default, it's Bevro.
I have three drinks. One of them is just the bitter tears I've been crying because our audience is full of tasteless marks.
Rubes among rubes. And listen, I've been told don't insult the listeners. Fuck it and fuck you. That's what I say.
Yeah, fuck it and fuck you, because you all voted for a half-ass found footage film on Tubi, which made us now have to watch another less-assed found footage movie on Tubi.
Yeah. I will say, as far as found footage is concerned, I'm sure that had something to do with why Ron picked this movie. But this did make Haunted Asylum look like a fucking 5-star, Shawshank Redemption here.
Yeah. But as far as actual bevros go, I have one that we've had in the past. It's pretty standard. Von Trapp Hellas. No big share there. Yeah, we've done Von Trapp Hellas.
It's a tasty one.
Yeah. What I wanted to actually talk about though is I don't drink a lot of pop. But pop has been getting damn fuck expensive for no reason. I don't know why.
Huh.
But what I found is the Liquid Death. I haven't been a Liquid Death guy. You know, they seem like, it seems like a douchebag brand. I haven't been into it. But as of late, they've released a bunch of teas as well as like soda flavored Liquid Death. So like I've tried like the root beer, the cola, and now I'm drinking the Dr. Death, which is their kind of made up, you know, Dr. Pepper version. They're all pretty good. Yeah, all these flavors, they taste better than the diet versions of those pops, and they're now cheaper than pop. Because
really,
yeah, because I'm finding the Liquid Deaths at like Get Go and Giant Eagle and shit like that. They're like $2.19 for a stovepipe, whereas like a regular 20 ounce of Sprite is I don't know, like $2.50 or more.
Interesting. See, I buy the Sody Pop, and I am a Sody Pop drinker. I never used to be until maybe about 4 or 5 years ago. And I drink a lot of the diet and sugar-free Sody Pops, which is probably horrible for you. You know, we've talked about my love for and borderline obsession really for sugar-free or zero sugar squirt.
Yeah.
I love a squirt. I also love a Diet Pepsi or a Diet Coke. I love a Diet Cola, and I love Diet Dr. Pepper. And I will happily drink, you know, a diet, whatever, Sam's Club cola. I don't give a shit. But something about Dr. Pepper, when I get the generic versions of the Dr. Pepper, they're usually bad.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised to hear you say that one was kind of good. Usually they turn real medicinal and they're just bleh.
Yeah, this one's not real medicinal. And like I said, I think they're better than the diet versions of those sodas, but I don't think they're better than the regular version, like the full sugar.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like go out there. I hate to be a fucking shill for Liquid Death, but go out and check out like their Killer Cola flavor and see if you're into it, because like
I
liked it. It's not bad.
Steve, you've given me something to live for. I'm going to make it one more week.
Yes.
So you just bought me another week. I'm going to go try these Liquid Death sodas. All right. Well, I'm drinking two, what did I call them already? Bevros. I'm having a couple Bevros too. One is decidedly not interesting. You just saw me chug something out of this here shaky container. That was a protein shake because your boy's been trying to work out, and I did squeeze a little workout here right before we got on. I spent pretty much the entire day standing in the pouring down rain watching my kids play soccer. And at one point, torrential downpour. Now I had an umbrella, but I just was sitting in a lawn chair under a umbrella, like a golf umbrella, in the torrential downpour, like in my Crocs, just soaked up to the ankles, watching my kids play soccer. So that was pretty much my whole day. And I got home and I squeezed a little workout in, and then I was getting my protein, my creatine, all my teens, my vitamins, my creatines, all my means. And
know what I means?
You know what I means? And then I go into a jacked Ernest character that I'm working on. I'm not jacked, guys. FYI. But I am sipping on a beer. Well, I'm about to. Hold on. Listen, guys, here. I'm going to crack into it. Ready? I'm going to drink a beer here that I have not had I'm going to drink a beer I haven't had in years. I'm doing a lot of rhyme in here today, guys. I'm working my way through this here Fatheads variety pack, and I'm drinking a beer called Sunshine Daydream, which I drank an absolute shitload of when this first came out, because it was the first, like, besides All Day IPA, like, interesting IPA that was under 5% that I just loved back in the day. And I remember trying to clone this beer a lot. And I have not had it in years, and I'm having it now, and it's still pretty tasty. Little bit more like Citra, Simcoe, I'm going to guess. Maybe Mosaic. What does it say? What else is in it? No, I don't see what varieties are in it. But it was like these, when this beer came out, those were like hot shit on the street hops. You know what I mean? This was 15 years ago this beer came out, and I still like it. I'm still a Citra, Simcoe stan. I love those old, those like second wave American hops, if you will.
Yeah.
So I'm sipping on that.
When they were trying to get piney And they were
when everybody was trying to get a little tropical, a little mango, little resinous.
Yeah, they were part of the wars. They remember the hop wars. Those hops.
That was like when before that it was just, you know, basically Cascade or Centennial, and maybe you'd get a Chinook or a CTZ in there, and all of a sudden everybody was like, "Oh, Citra, Simcoe, that was the hot shit on the streets." So, and then after that, Mosaic and all that stuff.
Yeah,
now we got anchovies and all types of shit.
Now people just name them by their strain number, HB746 or what the fuck ever.
Well, I don't know why. I'm curious, and I haven't brewed with it yet because I haven't brewed actually. I brewed like one batch in the last like year, but I know one of the hot hops on the street right now is anchovy. And I'm like, why you motherfuckers name a beer or name a hop anchovy? Why'd you do that?
You got that anchovy on you?
Yeah, it's weird. Why would you name it that? I don't know. I'm sure it might be a story behind it, but I haven't delved in.
Yeah.
Anyway, we got a couple other things we got to do at the top of the show before we begin this dog shit movie, you guys. First of all, we got to spin that son of a bitch in spinny ass wheel. While Steve brings it up, I'll explain to you what we mean by that. If you were on last week's episode, you witnessed a goddamn slobber knocker, a motherfucking barn burner, you guys. We do that. Well, we have actually some tasty, sticky, sweet, and salty content on the internet every Monday. But on the first Monday of every month, we do what's called a showdown episode. That's when we take a topic. That topic, where's it come from, you say? Hold your fucking horses. I'm about to explain it to you. We have a big old spinning ass wheel. It's got a bajillion different topics on it. There's horror subgenres. They're performers. They're whatever. I actually, Steve, remind me, I created about 20 new topics. Just I was bored. Sitting in a meeting I didn't want to be in, and I just created a whole new list of topics for the spinny wheel. But we already got a shitload of them, so we're gonna have a shitload plus about 20 here soon. We spin it 3 times. We get 3 different topics that we put those on the social medias for our social media friends and listeners to vote on. That's how we pick the topic. Once we have a topic, Steve, me, and our guest or collective Patreon effort pick movies associated with that topic. Then during the showdown episode, you know, someone's going to get a fucking diamond cutter, right? Someone's going to get a kendo stick right in the fucking ear hole. And eventually someone's going to walk home with that motherfucking championship strap for the month. That person, of course, gets to pick the punishment episode. That's why Ron's making us watch this dog shit movie this week. Okay. That said, let's give this fucking wheel. Actually, I'm bringing it up right now so I can follow along with you. There it is.
Cool.
Let's give it a spin. See what we're gonna get for the lovely month of July. Let's see if we get some summary topics.
Yeah, you were talking. You want summer garbage. I just wanted to say before we spin it, it's good that you have a whole new crop of things to go on the wheel, because it's technically we missed it, but in between episodes it was our birthday.
Oh yeah.
And so now, after this spin here, after this month, we'll reset the entire wheel for July and bring back all the old topics, and we can add a whole bunch of new ones. So the wheel will look a whole lot different next month. But
yeah, you want to hear some of my topics? But
sure.
Well, let's spin it, and then I'll give you some more topics. Here's our first spin. Ooh, this is a new one.
Yeah.
I'm jotting it down here. We have deadly diseases. I like that. So this could be anything from of course a plague, a zombie situation. This could be this could be a thinner even. Maybe that's more of a curse really than a disease,
a curse,
right? That's a straight up curse. I'm trying to think of other ones that aren't just straight up zombie type shit, but we can get into
vampires technically count.
Yeah.
You know, you can get around some of that stuff. What's another disease? Because I think that
AIDS.
helps. That helps encompass things like
could just be a movie, just like a PSA about AIDS.
Like
it could be scary. Is that in poor taste? Sorry,
no,
didn't mean to make light of AIDS.
I mean, it's Pride Month, Brian.
You just said what's a disease, so I just said a disease.
No, I was trying to think of another disease type thing. Like I think maybe even It Follows would.
Yeah.
Count.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because even though it's not a full sexual transmitted disease, that's what the subtext is. So we could possibly do what follows.
A bad cold.
Yeah,
just
bad cold.
Disease. Yeah. All right. Next up, we have all men cast. Between my classless comment and this topic, Steve, we're about to get canceled up on this bitch.
Hell yeah, canceled. This, which is funny because this suggestion came from a patron, from Shiggles, and she's female, and she suggested this. So she suggested for the wheel, she suggested all men cast and all female cast.
I like that. I like that. All male cast. That should be. I bet it's harder than we think. But no, there's definitely plenty of them out there. All right, so we have Deadly Diseases, all male cast, and 2 new ones, by the way. And then lastly, Cute but Creepy. Cute but creepy. So this is cute/innocent seeming villains or creatures. These are all 3 new. None of these have even came up on the wheel before. So I'm excited about that. Let me throw out some other ones here that I have on the list. And you can tell me what you think of them. You can give them a thumbs up, thumbs down, in the Discord, or Steven, give me your thoughts on it. First of all, hippie horror.
Yeah, that's enough.
So anything with hippies. Yeah, I like that one. Short form fear. I like my alliteration, right? So there's going to be a lot of alliteration in this. So short form films, short films, that sort of stuff.
I think that might be on the list already. I'm pretty sure.
Some of these might.
Yeah.
All right, I'll remove that. I'll remove that from the list.
The list, I mean, keep it on there, so I'll double check the list when I redo the entire list, because like I said, I have to take all the ones that we've done in the past and reincorporate those. So I just gotta work over the whole fucking document I have on Google.
Gotcha.
So keep it all in.
Occult Detectives. Is that one on there?
I think so.
Yeah, I thought that one might be on there. The Horrors of Parenthood. I'm thinking about moms
that one we
and
haven't
dads.
done. That's an up. Yeah.
Okay. Stop motion spookies.
I think that one's on there as well.
Okay, fair enough. Nordic films, just the whole Nordic region.
Oh, okay, yeah. We don't have that. We have a sort of category for that. The category is like pick a space, like pick an area.
Okay. Yeah.
So like if it came up, if it ever came up on the wheel, it would be a chance for that person to, pick where we go.
Sure.
But, but we don't have we don't have just like Scandinavian horror, Scandinavian scaries to stick with your
Scandinavian scaries. That has better alliteration. Yeah. Social media sucks. It's just about social media. Horror movies about social media.
There's more than enough of those type of movies now that you can easily do an episode about that.
Yeah. Mobster madness! ! Horror movies about the gangsters, mobsters.
I think that's an interesting topic, but I can't think of any movies off the top of my head that fit it.
I think I had one in my mind, and now I forget what it was when I made this list.
Frankie Frico.
Frankie Frico, is that one? Okay, I haven't seen that yet.
Oh, you haven't seen it yet?
I know. I haven't pulled the trigger. It's been on my list forever. So this one, I kind of remember what I meant by this, but I put Attack of the Poo Poo Pee Pee Man, and it was just like all those movies. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what
all
you're
those
talking
movies.
About. Like, because there's the one that was called The Bye Bye Man, and it's just who fucking named that shit?
The Bye Bye Man. And then there's like 4 or 5 movies that all have these really terrible titles. And I think one time I remember you called him the Poo Poo Pee Pee Man. So I'm just thinking of this like, maybe I did. I don't remember.
Who knows?
But it's just those like really stupid, made up, generic bad guys.
Yeah, just it's a whole bunch of bullshit trying to invent like American. Like a new American bad guy. Yeah,
they're all like Slender Man-y, or they're all like kind of reminiscent of Freddy, but in like a really generic, shitty way. Or they look like the guy from Sinister, but they're just like cheap CGI.
Right. I feel like all of those movies kind of have progeny in Jeepers Creepers, actually. Because because like you think how like Jeepers Creepers, like it was like an original character they kind of invented that was like an amalgamation of a bunch of things anyway. It was like serial killers and vampires and, you know, a weird timed lore, and then he had a truck. So like it was a whole bunch of things jammed into one to make a new American monster. But then everybody else was like, here comes the pee pee poo poo man.
yeah. And so I just want to just work and just wade into that cesspool.
Sure.
Forest frights. We're just talking about stuff that happens in the woods, deep in the woods. A little generic, but okay. A picture is worth 1,000 scares. That's like stuff about photos, photography related horror. Okay. Is what I was thinking there.
Okay.
Comedian carnage. That's just it's something that features, doesn't have to star, but it prominently features a comedian in horror. You know what got me thinking of that? I watched the remake of House on Haunted Hill, and Chris Kattan is in it. That got me thinking about that.
That one can medicine. That one can go a couple ways, because that when you first said it, that made me think of the Tales from the Crypt episode with Bobcat Goldthwait.
Oh, sure.
So yeah,
I like that. Yeah. Medicine of the macabre. So I'm talking about things, doctors, nurses, medical profession horror. You know, a Dr. Giggles would certainly fall into that, something in that category.
Just the dentist.
The dentist, of course. Silent scares, so silent films in general, and not necessarily old silent films, but silent films in general. Assault of alliteration. I just had so many alliteration on here that I was like, a title that is alliteration.
An alliterative title is great.
Yeah. One word titles. You know, you can see where I'm going now. Now I'm going down this path. Holy cats. It's just cats in horror. Yeah. Revenge of Lance Hendrickson.
We have Lance. We already have Lance.
Yeah.
We already have Lance.
Angela Bettis rules. Just Angela Bettis movies.
Okay, we can add it. Yeah.
Richard Brake rules. These are rules with a Z, by the way. So just Richard Brake featured movies. Brad Dourif rules again.
What about instead of Richard Brake rules, all brake, no gas?
I like it. Even better. I have Barbara Crampton rules, obviously.
I think we have her on, but yeah.
We might. And then I put, oh no, Eric Roberts after that.
I think he's on, but if not, we'll put him on.
Okay.
Just because, yeah, the expanse of his catalog is frightening and terrible.
There's so many. Tabletop terror. So this is about, there's a lot of movies out there about like board games, horror movie board, horror movies about board games and role-playing games and all that sort of stuff. Nothing gets you high like drugs. Obviously drugs is DRUGZ. Drug horror. That this movie that we're going to talk about tonight, which obviously I'm stalling, could go into that. This one made me laugh, and I don't know why. I was really tickling myself with this one. Non-crow birds. Just horror movies about birds, but they can't be crows.
They can't be a crow.
They cannot be a crow. Don't even mention a crow. Rings and things. Not the ring or the thing. Now I'm just making myself laugh.
Yeah, this is definitely, the meeting is still going on and I'm still trying to not pay attention.
Yeah. So my whole thing is jewelry, things that feature like a pendant or a ring or a necklace. Something like that. So I called it rings and things, but I was like, but not the ring and also not the thing.
Some sort of cursed bauble.
Yes. And then lastly, one which this might be on there too, small town horror. I was just thinking of all these like great. I was watching that what reminded me of that was what was the movie I was raving about recently that was very Deliverance like. It was they were down in the bayou Southern Comfort. Yeah, got me thinking about redneck and rural horror and stuff like that, which is one of my favorite subgenres. Anyway, all right. So it sounds like we got some to add to the list here.
Oh, for sure.
All right, one more thing, Steve. Before we get into this movie, we got but one more thing, and I know I'm stalling here, but let's talk about what's going on over on the Patreon. Tell them boils and ghouls what's going on over there.
Sure. Right before we get to that, Ron had one to add to the list himself, which is your right as a patron. This is one of look, we're going to talk about what you get as a patron. This is one of those things. And Ron just had the suggestion of the topic called "What's This About?" And it's Canadian horror.
Oh, I like that. Also, one other thing, because I almost forgot to one more time remind everybody to go and vote this week on the social medias for the topics that we just chose from. And if you are a patron, correct me if I'm wrong, you get 2 votes.
You get 2 votes.
Yeah. So you're going to vote for, and you could put both those votes towards one topic. You could spread them out if you really don't like one topic and you want to kind of box it out. But I think all of these would be fun. Deadly diseases, all male cast, or cute but creepy. So creepy cute or non-threatening, creatures or baddies. So.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think we have a similar topic on there, all little monsters, but
yeah,
I think that disqualifies like Chucky, which I think Chucky falls into cute but creepy, depending on which one you'd go for. Megan,
some
probably
doll shit.
Yeah, all
perhaps
the doll shot.
Some pets, some cute pets.
Yeah. Maybe an Annabelle, maybe an uninvited, a cat within a cat.
Cat within a cat. Nothing cuter than a cat within a cat. Unfortunately, taken, guys. Sorry.
Already did it. But, cat within a cat. Sounds great. Sounds great.
Yeah.
Double cat.
It's very cute.
How could you be mad at it?
Yeah.
But yeah. So yeah, you get those things on the Patreon. You also get write-ups and reviews. I did a big write-up on a movie recently. Until Dawn. Had you seen that movie? Have you heard about that movie even?
No, not until your write up.
Yeah, I think it flew under the radar because it's a video game. It's like based on a video game, and nobody could understand why they would make that in 2025 because it's an older video game that in itself was a movie. Yeah, and then in that video game, it starred Rami Malek from Mr. Robot and Hayden Panettiere and Peter Stormare.
Yeah.
And then only Peter Stormare is in the actual movie. So it didn't make any sense. But I don't know. I was tired, insomniac. I watched it. That movie's butt fucking insane.
I mean, I'm going to watch it now that I heard you talk about it. I'm sure I saw it come up across something and I was just like, no, thank you. Like nothing about it on the surface appeals to me at all.
And nor should it. Nothing about it should be appealing. But you just watch it and something happens in that movie and I can't give it away because it has to come as a surprise. And
I'm going to watch it now, yeah.
And it's such a middle finger to somebody. It's such a middle finger to somebody. I can't explain it.
Yeah.
I love it though.
Yeah. This is the other thing. This just came out this just came out recently, right? Because it's still like on this premium streaming service. Like you're gonna have to pay $20 to see it on streaming. So yeah, I think this is good. There's just absolutely no fucking way I'm gonna pay $20 to see a movie about a video game. But when it eventually comes to Tubi in 3 days, I will watch it then.
Yeah. When it gets there, just watch it. But yeah, just keep it in the back of your mind. But yeah, I watched
on the list.
I watched it ahead of time. I screened it for everybody else because people need to know about it.
Fucking know about the bonkers shit that is this.
Yeah, it's a fucking bad movie, but you have to let it get to a point, and then you go, "Oh, okay." It's not. But it's not worth $20 though.
Yeah. Somebody's got an axe to grind.
Yeah. So you get all that kind of stuff. You get the extra votes. You get the reviews and recos. You get to be live in the chat as the episodes happen. And on top of all that, you get a monthly exclusive podcast. Right now, we're doing 90s is Forever, which is we look at terrible, forgotten comedies of the 90s, which also have ties to horror movies in a lot of ways, whether it's like shared actors, notable horror actors, notable horror directors. We've done it all. And coming up in the month of June, we're going to do a little propaganda by watching Police Academy 7 Mission to Moscow.
I'm confused about, I'm not confused. I guess I'm questioning what to expect this deep into the franchise with so few of the original cast.
Yeah.
I feel it's going to be a disaster. I'm excited to watch it.
Yeah. I remember not liking it as a kid, and I had watched all of them. Like, I think my tolerance for the Police Academy movies went up to 5, maybe even 6. Because 5 was in Miami and they had the fan boat stuff going, and that was kind of cool. I like the what's her thing is Lieutenant Callahan. She was the hot but mean blonde that would hold guys down. And that definitely didn't resonate anything in me as a kid.
Definitely not. Certainly not.
Yeah. That definitely didn't strike a tone that's followed me for the rest of my life.
That's something to like a really like you're into the 44th minute of your 45-minute session with your therapist when you start to go like, I think we need to talk about Police Academy. And they go, okay, next time.
Wrap it up. Nope. Not now.
Yeah, we ain't got time for that right now.
Yeah, but so yeah, they had a bunch of fan boat stuff. And then 6 is like, it's a mess and it doesn't make any sense. And then 7, I just did not care for. But in researching this series that we're doing, I found an actor that's tied to the horror world that I did not remember. I did not remember was in this movie.
Okay.
And it fucking bummed me out. And I haven't watched I haven't watched the movie again yet, but just seeing his name on the actors list, I went, "Oh no."
Okay. I'm going to not look then at the act, and I'm going to see if I can pick him up, see if I can recognize him.
Sure. I think you will.
Okay. So go ahead and check it out over on patreon.com/Halloweens Forever. Come join us in the Discord, get the Patreon exclusive podcast series, all kind of fun stuff over there. All right. I have delayed it long enough. I think it is officially time to talk about Ron's punishment movie. And I still am curious, Ron, why you picked this. If there's a particular reason aside from the fact that it's found footage. But this is actually kind of interesting in that it bears a lot of comparison to Gone Jim Haunted Asylum, because not only is it a found footage movie, but it's found footage about somebody who wants to make media, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's a reality type show, or in this instance, more of a documentary. But it's found footage about someone making a film. We are talking about The Monster Project, once again, from 2017. I'm not even going to read the plot synopsis here because there's actually not a ton. I mean, we'll get into the plot quite a bit here. And Ron's explanation for why is because he let us off easy with Bubba Hotep last time. All right, fair enough. You did. That's an enjoyable movie, and this one was not enjoyable. It's directed by Victor Mateo. Probably Mateo. Is it Matt? Is that how you would say Matthau?
Yeah. I mean, it looked like Walter Matthau as a name to me. Or no,
is
Walter
that how he spells it?
No, Walter Matthau spelled different. But yeah,
with a W. Yeah.
I thought
Mateo. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah.
But he is the director of 5 films, writer of 4 films, and producer of 3 films. And 3 of the films, he is the writer, director, and producer of. So usually not a great sign. He most of which are shorter films, and this one it appears to be by far his most well-known project. Also did a movie that is on Tubi in 2018, the very following year called Dead List, which looks to be unwatchable just by the few scant reviews. Doesn't have enough to have a rating on Letterboxd, but the general consensus is unwatchable. And then the rest are short films that appear to barely exist. So we know what we're getting ourselves into.
This is one of those cases of like, usually you see in like the scores of an IMDb, credit go up as a director gets better and gets more exposure and gets a bigger budget, and they can they can bring about more with their vision. His are going down. His scores are going down, and that's bad. And then
that's usually bad.
Yeah, when you go with the Monster Project, it has a 4.5, and then it goes down to 3 with Dead List. It's like, oh, we're not going to give you money anymore, dude. Like, people don't,
and nor should they. There is no one recognizable. There's a couple people who are in a couple of recognizable things. Like Toby Hemingway, who plays Brian in this movie, who is fucking annoying. He's in Black Swan, but there's no way in hell you remember him from Black Swan.
No.
Same thing with Jim Storm, which is a wrestler name, but he is in Trilogy of Terror, but like you're not going to remember him from Trilogy of Terror. You know what I mean? So these are people who have secured credits, but you would not recognize them. A pretty small cast here as well. And many of them appear to have gone uncredited, which is also not a great sign.
Now, just before we move on, I just want to ask you, because I think you know this better than I do, and I assume you're reading off Letterboxd, which is why you didn't see it. You know the show Dark Shadows, right?
The original Dark Shadows?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Jim Storm was Gerard on that, but that doesn't mean anything to me. So.
Well, I don't recognize the name Gerard. I'm not a huge fan. I mean, I've watched it.
Okay.
It's been some years. I do not remember who Gerard is.
Yeah, it says he was on 81 episodes of it. So
okay, so he was a regular on Dark Shadows, the original soap.
There's a fucking movie called Night of Dark Shadows where he also plays a character by the same name.
I've not seen that. The only thing that I've seen in terms of a feature-length film on Dark Shadows is the Johnny Depp Abomination. It was a soap opera. There were 700 characters. You know what I mean? But Gerard doesn't ring a bell immediately for me.
Fair enough. I was just wondering because I had no reference for it, but it seems like that was this guy
his biggest credit.
That's his biggest credit, and that makes him like the biggest star out of this entire cast. Because nobody, most of these people don't even seem like they fucking work anymore. And this was only 2017.
Yeah. I think this short-lived.
This killed careers. This movie was a career killer for more than a handful of people.
And I won't even say that all the performances were awful. I mean, the movie's awful, but I won't even say all the performances are awful. There's not any that are good, but they're not all awful. There are a couple that are awful. Anyway, we get introduced to a couple of fucking boneheads. It's a found footage movie, and they're doing something. There's like a guy, he's creeping around, something spooky's happening. He goes up, falls off a roof because he sees a dang old spooky up on the roof. You realize they're making like spoof videos for 2017 YouTube. They're making spooky spoof videos. And then they're like, well, we're making bajillion dollars on our YouTube spoof videos. We should see what happens if we make something with real monsters. So it's kind of like I mentioned, Haunted Asylum, but it's, before they actually start, they're just trying to get the whole thing off the ground. And also it's quote unquote monsters as opposed to, a haunted, the titular Haunted Asylum. The two characters we'd introduced right off the bat are Devin and Jamal, and I would like to do harm to both of them. Physical, bodily harm. They are so fucking annoying. Devin is a bad actor, but also just a giant douchebag.
Yeah.
And then Jamal is playing the most stereotypical, over the top black friend.
Yeah.
Ever. Like it doesn't even seem like this should be 2017. This feels like it should be 2002 or 1998.
Yeah, it feels pretty racist is what it actually feels. And
yeah.
I was just, as I was watching the movie and getting bored, I was just looking at the different sites, seeing what the reviews were like, seeing if anybody had like a funny review or anything. And Letterboxd points out that the way Jamal is written and acted feels pretty racist and just like out of touch.
Yeah.
And then when you read it on IMDb, it's the reviews are racist because they're just like, I can't stand this obnoxious black guy. And it's like, no, don't you understand? Jamal was likely written by a white person. So what you're experiencing is another white person's idea of a black guy.
Yeah. You're falling for racism.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's rough. It's rough. I mean, I'll get like there is a lot. I swear to God, there feels like there's at least 10 jump scares that are just loud noises, and Jamal just goes, "Hell no!" Like, it keeps happening over and over and over again. It's tough.
The number of times he does a hell no, the number of times he brings up crack multiple times. Mm-hmm. He calls the house a crack house. He calls somebody a crackhead. And he also, and this just, again, another thing that just felt off. He's carrying a gun that is never introduced until he pulls it out. Mm-hmm. And he's not even a person who his character in general is not somebody who seems like they would carry a gun. He's actually a pretty meek and timid toady to Devin.
Yeah. He's the cameraman too.
Yeah.
It's not like they introduced him that like he's the tough guy who's there to like protect people.
Right.
He's the cameraman.
Yeah. He's at no point portrayed to be like thuggish or anything, but just out of nowhere, the only person who has a gun is the black guy. And and it just, I don't know, his whole portrayal feels bad. And a lot of it feels, and I think this is everybody. I think a lot of people had their dialogue ADR'd in.
Mm.
I
could see that.
I feel like a lot of people had their.
Well, there is a lot of instances where they definitely was the case. Yeah. For certain scenes.
Yeah, but it feels like a lot of this movie, especially the first half, is filling it up with Jamal one-liners because Jamal's behind the camera.
Mm-hmm.
And so they just add in a whole bunch of Jamal one-liners anytime something happens.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and they're not funny. They're not well delivered. And it's just like, oh my God. Just like, yeah. And the whole thing sucks. I hate this movie.
Yeah. There's just like,
there's good parts.
He's cartoonish.
Yeah.
Like Devin will be like, we're making money off our YouTube videos, but I bet we can make more money. And Jamal will be like, hell yeah, I want to make some more money. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's so cartoonish and over the top.
It borders lines on Chris Tucker at some points. But unfunny Chris Tucker. Like if Chris Tucker was just done by a kid from the suburbs.
He's definitely, I could see him, he's channeling a Chris Tucker. Yeah. I could see that. It's cartoonish. Anyway, Devin and Jamal submit a request for, real monsters. People who think they're monsters is kind of what they're kind of hinting at that they're going to try to get here. We then get introduced to Brian, who is Jamal's childhood friend, I guess. He's like a wannabe actor. And then we have Muriel, who's Devin's ex. And they're going to be involved in this whole project as well. So they start to get some responses from quote unquote monsters. One of them, her name's Shayla. She's a tattoo artist who claims to be a vampire. Brian is, first of all, we start to get these ideas that he's got some sort of I don't know, addiction problem. They're not coming right out and saying it, but they're saying he's X amount of days. They don't necessarily say sober, I think, but they're just being kind of vague about it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I thought it was going to end up being something else.
Yeah.
Like we were going to learn that he was like a vampire. There's going to be some wacky twist.
Right. Yeah.
But no, he's just like, I think he was a heroin addict that now is addicted to painkillers.
Yeah.
And, but they don't like, they're really vague about it for a long time. And also he's like this weird religious, which I get it, like AA and NA like has this whole religious component to it if you do like the whole, classic 12-step program and stuff. But Brian's like he's like a weird religious nut. And we learn more about this later, but we don't really know why he is. And this angle, and I'm an immediate eye roll when we get into that type of shit and like the power of Christ compels you and all that stuff. I get it when we're talking about possession, demon possession and stuff, but like, I don't know. I just hated this part of the story. It just seemed so unnecessary, so stupid. Like they were really trying to like paint him to be like a sympathetic character by showing that he was like devout, but it was, we come back to it at the end, we'll discuss it, but it was like completely self-serving. And I just hated the character of Brian, honestly, so much.
And that's fine, because all of these characters are hateable, and because they're not, the story feels like it was written by a 12-year-old and then punched up by a 22-year-old. Like it was the main setup of just like, we're going to get a bunch of monsters into a house and make people run around is what a 12-year-old comes up with.
Yeah. And this is 90% of this movie is a dark ride.
Right. And then they try to add in all of this interpersonal drama, but none of it matters in the end because none of it has an effect on the characters or creates an arc for any of the characters. Like Brian's whole thing with religion doesn't really come into play until they run into the demon, and then they just have to have a way to fight the demon. Yeah, which doesn't even make sense because it's a Japanese girl possessed by a demon you never heard of, and as far as you know, it could be a yokai, and it. Why would it abide to the rules of Christ? It just it
don't care about stick your Lord's Prayer up your ass. You don't care.
Exactly.
She's possessed by a giant foot monster who like steals coins on a rural road. You know what I mean? Like she don't care about your Lord's Prayer. But then we end up, I'm going to spoil it, but I won't spoil it. We'll wait. I'm so annoyed at how, I mean, it's just, God, it's bad in every sense of the word, but it just, it is written. I think you nailed it. Written by a 12-year-old, punched up by a 22-year-old. Also, it's Brian's birthday. Cool. That never comes back. Who cares?
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. So they get this banging on the door at 3 a.m. No one's there. And there's just a DVD on the front stoop that says Shiori. And she is the one that's possessed by a demon, right? So we've got a vampire. We've got a person possessed by a demon, which, again, not a monster. So we've already abandoned the monster project thing. And then we also learn that Devin wants Muriel to direct the whole thing, and we're led to believe that it's because he wants to get back with her. We also know that Brian and Muriel have like a history, like a romantic history as well. So a little bit of like a love triangle thing that's getting set up. They rent this house, and the house is owned or managed in some capacity. I think owned by Richard, who's this old guy. They're going to do the interviews in this old spooky house. And he basically says like, oh, there used to be satanic cults that did rituals in this house. And you're like, okay, yeah. Like that's not going to come back up. Also, no phones.
No phones.
Sure, whatever.
But also, Richard says he doesn't like being on camera, but that prompts Jamal to say just a fucking terrible line that just like, I don't know, it struck me in my heart as like, I don't know, that's racist. You shouldn't have made him say it like that, because he says, "You show got a lot of cameras," and it's like, like
I know.
It's just
that's
heart.
what I mean when it says it's cartoonish.
Yeah.
Like whoever wrote this put in parentheses, say it in an ethnic way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
say it like Uncle Remus.
Yeah. It reads, it doesn't read well.
No.
Anyway, we have oh God, what's his name? I just said his name. The guy who owns the place, Richard. We also meet Richard's wife, whose name's Martha, who is not cool at all. She just is in a wheelchair screaming. Like, she's just not cool at all. She's super not chill.
She's super not chill, but also he left her in a room by herself to scream in the darkness. So like we're getting all these like building, like it's building a tower of nothing, but it's just like, that's why it feels so much like a haunted house dark ride, because there's all these like disconnected, elements of like a vampire and a skinwalker and a demon.
Oh, yeah.
And then we go to the actual haunted house, and then, oh yeah, they did satanic rituals, but also there's a lady in a wheelchair. So there's 2 more scary things for you.
It's a dark ride. I forgot to mention that they have a run-in with a cop who turns out to be a skinwalker, and I think his name's Mike or something. Who cares? Mike is Steve, sure.
Steve, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, he's going to come over, and he's going to be in it too. Here's my biggest thing, and now they at least had the I don't even want to say good sense, but they did have the Skinwalker guy be at least characterized as Native American, and they do call out like Navajo Nation as like the origins of the legends. We never see the guy's face. He's always like in shadow, right? So I get the distinct feeling they weren't able to cast a Native American.
Well,
so at least
they actually were. This is the confusing part for me. They actually were. So
oh really?
Yeah. So the actor who plays Steven is a guy who goes so okay, one point before we get to that is something that this shares with Gong Jam is we were talking about how Gong Jam, everybody used like their real name. They do that with this film as well. Like Shiori, like Shiori's actor's name is Shiori. Muriel's actor's name is Shiori. Stupid ass.
What a coincidence.
And then so that's how Steven is played by Steven Flores, but I guess he's changed his name.
It's so
back.
Weird. He's not even credited on Letterboxd. Yeah.
Well, that's because I believe he's changed his name. And he's changed his name on Letterboxd to more reflect his native heritage, because I'm gonna really fuck this pronunciation up, but I'll try not to. He goes by Ixtlan now. But he's been in other things before this movie. Playing different native characters. He was even on an episode of Always Sunny playing a Native American elder.
So why didn't they? So, I mean, they made him like a shadow, right?
Yeah.
Which is, I'm not sure. I don't know. Whatever. It's the least of our concerns.
Yeah, it's the least of our concerns, but I suspect the reason why we never really see his face and his voice is always done through the modulator is they didn't like his performance and they kind of blurred him out.
Perhaps. Yeah, that could make sense. That could be it.
Yeah. Yeah. They just removed him in a like shitty way.
Yeah. I hate the way they did this, because the Skinwalker is, first of all, not a monster at all in the traditional sense. You know what I mean? Like if you go down the, Skinwalker Ranch and that whole rabbit hole, I mean, it encompasses everything from,
aliens to Bigfoots.
Yeah. Bigfoots to damn Men in Blacks to, and also when I think of like even like modern interpretations of like Pyewacket and stuff like that, these are it's more of a haunting, you know what I mean? Or a spiritual overtaking, or I think of like early weird fiction, Algernon Blackwood, you know, just the spirit of the woods fucking with you and taking like slowly making you crazy and taking your soul. Like that's what I think of when I think of a skinwalker. Now there obviously is a tie to the idea that it can turn into animals, and they took that. It's like somebody did 45 seconds of research on skinwalker, said, oh, it turns into animals, let's make it a wolfman.
Right.
And they just turned it into a jacked wolfman.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
and it gave it no like mystic powers, like no mind control, no nothing. It's just jacked wolfman.
Yeah. I think that's happened a couple of times of like, it's reappropriating the werewolf myth and the, you know, lycanthropy onto this Native American thing, but like they don't have a shared origin.
Yeah.
You know, like
no, not even close. I mean, the lycanthropy thing is probably like the Native American. They probably are the equivalent on different continents, but like when you think about that, you think of like Central European. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. So yeah, they're taking, you know, the werewolf from, you know, Central Europe and, you know, Austria and whatever kind of, however that originated out of the woods from there, and are slapping it onto something they sort of read about. They sort of kind of heard about. The same way, like you see the Wendigo depicted in however many different ways.
Sure. Yeah. When I think of like Skinwalker, I think it having more to do with Wendigo than Wolfman.
Right.
Anyway, all the monsters show up and they start to shoot, basically. So Skinwalker is like this emo Native American shadow boy. The vampire has like the Fiend contact lenses and is horny for Brian, by the way. Like, all right, whatever. Also, like I said, Brian's whole like pill addiction thing is just giving me hemorrhoids. Like he's really trying to deliver this like powerful performance, but it feels so much like suburban white boy problems.
Right.
That I just not there. I have no empathy for him. The interview with a vampire. Well, the actual interview with a vampire is just painful.
Fucking awful.
It's painful to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is where I was like rolling my eyes thinking that the film was punched up by a 22-year-old, because there was a cringe in my heart of, I feel like I have either written or read a monologue similar to this when I was in film school. Like what you learn from this interaction, though, if you were to write this in film school in front of somebody who knows better, is they'll tell you that this scene goes on for too long and it has no conflict in it until the very end. Like, at the very end of the scene, there's conflict in which the vampire reveals that she knows Brian has been boofing oxys because it was in his blood, and she tasted his blood as a way, like they gave her his blood as a way to get her on the show.
Yeah.
Before that, it's just her going on and on and on about all the ways she's a vampire, but not like a vampire. You know, I've got like different powers. You've got things all mixed up.
Like an edgy, cool vampire. I've got tattoos, and I'm not a Dracula. I'm sexy. I'm a sexy girl.
I can go out in the sun and it just makes me super tired.
It's just like I'm hungover.
It gives me fibromyalgia. It's just like
when I go, real vampires get fibromyalgia in the sun.
Yeah. It's just like this fucking scene sucks. But it hurt my heart because I feel like I have either written and or I have definitely seen scenes like this in film school, and then you learn not to write scenes like that again because they're fucking boring and stupid and nobody gives a shit.
Yeah. Brian then has a whole freak out again. I'm so over Brian by this point. He just has this really Machine Gun Kelly energy that I want to punch.
Oh my God. That's it. That's what I was trying to figure out because, okay. So right after the vampire reveals that he knows he's on Oxy, she is essentially revealing it to, his roommates and the girl he likes and Devin. And he fucking has an emo temper tantrum and storms out into the fucking parking lot or whatever and sits down and grabs the camera and puts it in his face. And he's doing the fucking Joker from The Dark Knight Rises, where he's taunting Batman with the video camera, and he has the cop all tied up, and he's like shaking the camera, and he's like, "Oh, you're gonna learn. I'm gonna get you." But that's Brian doing it, and except he's taunting his parents. He's just like, "Well, Mom and Dad, well, what do you think of me now? I can't stop doing the Oxy. I love it."
Yeah, he's just like, "Oh, you want me to eat all of my lasagna? And I'm going to poof Foxy." "Oh, you want me to eat all my Stouffer's lasagna?"
"Oh, my parents thought I was such a good boy, but I'm not. I'm out here doing the Oxy."
"Have you seen my tattoos?" He's such a douchebag. And I just, again, you know how there's certain musicians that you're like, someday it's going to be really embarrassing to a whole generation that this person existed. Machine Gun Kelly is one of those people.
Yeah,
like 30 years from now, we're gonna go like, "Oh my God, people like this."
I'm embarrassed by him now, but
I know, but like a whole generation is going to go like, "Oh my God," I
feel like Post Malone and Jelly Roll are both going to fall into that as well too.
Probably, yeah. With like they're just trying so much to be like outlaw country. Like we're outlaw country, but we're modern.
Yeah,
like we're like Waylon Jennings and George Jones. Like we're like that, but we have tattoos on our faces.
We've got face tattoos, and our music is way overproduced. Oh
my God! Yeah.
I hate to be. I'm obviously old now because I'm just like, it all sounds the same. This all sounds like poo-poo garbage. but like, I can't hear any of their music and just go, "Oh, that sounds good." It doesn't, because it never does. I heard it. Years and years ago, I was working in a factory and I heard a song that had KRS-One's "Sound of the Police."
Okay,
sampled into it. And I was like, "Oh, sick. KRS-One? Is somebody playing a remix?" And then it turned out that it was Machine Gun Kelly. And then the person playing the song didn't even know KRS-One. And I was like, I'm going to kill everybody in this factory.
Yeah, he's going to be one of those really embarrassing people that like people will pretend they didn't like because of how embarrassingly bad he is. Yeah. He's a dog shit rapper, and he's even more dog shit like pop artist now.
Yeah.
And also he's dog shit at like punk pop too. Like he's dog shit.
It's so bad. That's the thing, is it's all pop. Like it doesn't matter how much like outlaw and tattoo you try to inject into it. It's still just pop. It's made for fucking teenage girls to go, at. It's not.
Yeah. I'm depressed now. But anyway, next we have Shiori. She's the demon possessed one. And her demon powers involve scrambling a camera and then popping up with like a Max Headroom mask on occasionally. Just intercepting your transmission with a spooky face. This is the one that is, she doesn't put on a bad performance. No. But her whole character is just so flawed and just dependent solely on, I mean, all of them are, but at least like the Skinwalker, who's not a Skinwalker, he's a werewolf. Even at least they have like a suit that he wears, a practical suit. Right. This she's just doing spooky, long-haired Japanese girl poses. Yeah. And then they just like pop in with a little like CGI overlay of like a jump scare face, like you would see at the end of like a joke YouTube video.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's the same, After Effects, YouTube template you've seen however many times on a video you're just trying to scare somebody with on, just by giving them a shitty YouTube link. But it's just like, black eyes, long face, black mouth. And then just tracked in mocha. There we go. Slap it on again. Keep recycling that same gag over and over. Maybe it'll work 1 out of the 15 times they use it.
Well, they start doing it with everyone's face too, because then they do it with her face. I mean, they do it with the vampire. It's just it feels so dated, less than a decade ago. Oh, by the way, it's a lunar eclipse that night, and that's why it's like all these things are happening. Okay, fine. The monsters all seem to like kind of like team up, or at least kind of like coexist with one another.
Yeah.
They're there to work. They're there to be working monsters in a haunted house.
Yeah.
and they're just popping around, bebopping from room to room. It just reminds me so much of working in haunted houses and like Halloween, attractions where where the spots are, because obviously the track that people are on. So you can go to one little pop-up window, jump out, scare them, and then you can run behind the wall and cut, do the shortcut over that, and then wait and get them again.
Yep.
And that's what they're doing. Yeah. So it's like these monsters. I got the distinct feeling these monsters have worked this house before.
Yeah, they know the ins and outs.
Spot. Yeah, they know this spot. This is like an old stomping ground for them.
Also, the house completely loses meaning as all of this is going on, because we're in the first person found footage, but we're going through so many rooms. Like, there can't be that many rooms in this house, and there's so many rooms, so many corners, and then they fake so many cuts, like they're supposed to be watching it as a one shot, but there's so many faked cuts in there that you just don't really know what room you're in anymore. And so all of the space loses meaning. And that's why it just becomes more like you said, a haunted house, because all the actors know what corner to go to next, because they have seen it in the daylight. They've seen, the maze structure of how the fence, sends the cattle around. So it's fucking terrible.
You're just going through, you're on a path, you're on a track, is what it feels like. Also, great quote by Jamal, one of many. We just saw these monsters, right?
Yep.
And we've also invited these monsters here via Craigslist.
Right.
We've signed them to come in at different times. We've written a schedule for these monsters to come in, and we've put pieces of paper on their dressing rooms that say vampire, skinwalker, and demon. And when they all go bonkers, Jamal goes, "What the fuck are those things?"
And also follows it up with,
"What do you mean, sir?"
And follows it up with, "Monsters aren't real." What are you talking about? You were trying to find real monsters, were you not?
Jamal, were you not paying attention at all to anything we've done? I think you're the one who put up the signs.
No, Brian put up the signs. Brian did.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Brian did label all of their doors, but I mean, you were there for the pre-interviews, Jamal. You've met these people before.
You're the cameraman.
Yeah, you're the cameraman. It's like your one job to like capture what goes on with these people, and you've seen them. Like, you should have expected at least one of them to be a monster.
Yeah. Or even if you weren't expecting to be monsters, you know what kind of monsters they are.
Yeah.
They told you.
They told you what they are.
Yeah. Jamal gets taken and eventually injured, but then quickly recovered. But he is injured, so we just have to deal with Jamal has an increasingly bad injury. We just get basically switch up of like dark house sequences and like peppered between these like heated shaky cam conversations, and it just goes on for a long time. Devin did bring monster hunting tools, right? Which we will come back to later, because I'm not sure why he did that. it makes sense for the character of Devin to do that, but then when we learn later who Devin is, it ceases to make sense. We just get
it doesn't make sense why Devin imperils himself.
I mean, I think the idea originally, if he was in fact trying to interview people who think that they are demons, like, okay, let's say you were on the Jerry Springer show and you brought on a guest who thought they were a vampire or possessed by a demon or whatever, it would make sense to incite them with a cross, with a crucifix.
Sure.
So that maybe makes sense. But then later, spoiler alert, we learn Devin is in on this whole thing and is there for satanic ritual purposes. Why'd he bring those things? Yeah. Even if they're not effective, which he shows they're not effective later.
Right.
Why'd you bring him in the first place at all?
Why'd you bring him in the first place? Why? But my bigger question is, why be in the house? Why put yourself in danger because this is his real goal. Like, yes, he sold it to Jamal as like, we're going to find real monsters and then interview them. But Devin's in the background goal is, I'm going to find real monsters and then do something with them. That's never actually explained what he does.
No.
The ritual the
ritual's vague at best.
Yeah, the ritual's vague at best because the vampire gets killed before it's ever implemented into anything. It's just the vampires. Do you just have to have them in the house? I don't know. That doesn't make any sense. But as we see in Gonjiam, we have the director character who hangs out in kind of the offshoot tent, who monitors everything, which is that's where Devin should have been. Devin should have been a little bit off site, monitoring everything to make sure his machinations go to fruition, and then the monsters do whatever that they're supposed to do to the crew.
Devin didn't feel like a puppet master.
No, not at all. He feels like a dickhead in a fucking polo.
Running around like an asshole. Yeah. Doing things that don't necessarily feed into what we are supposed to believe was his ultimate goal. Brian has a GoPro in his head, which was a birthday present. So now we know why that is there. And he does have this whole like first person battle with the vampire. I will say I've seen worse shot things. Yeah. Like there were some sequences that were like, oh, that was a pretty, they were going for it, where they fall through the floor and stuff like that. It was like, okay, that's not bad. The physicality with the actors, specifically the vampire, is just not there. But they were trying, they were trying to do some stuff. They weren't phoning it in.
No, I think I was watching this, and I think this is the one thing that's kind of good about this movie is this sequence with the vampire, but also the kind of chase sequences with the werewolf. Like there is a lot of physicality involved with these monsters. And this reminds me that we're in 2017 and we're only 2 years after that movie, Hardcore Henry. I don't know if you've seen that.
The first person one.
Yeah. But like that was based off this director, Ilya Neshuler. He directed Hardcore Henry, but in 2013, he made this video for his band Biting Elbows called Bad Motherfucker. And it was shot very much. It's just a GoPro on an actor's head, and it's doing like John Wick shit and parkour shit through Russia. And it's, go watch that video. That video fucking rules. The song's pretty good. But I think that like, I mean, the video was so big, he got to direct Hardcore Henry. But
I remember all the hype around Hardcore Henry when it came out. Yeah. But I don't think I've ever seen the original video.
Yeah, that Hardcore Henry, I think it's okay. It's like, I don't know, it's a lot for a whole movie, which is why this is it's a lot for this movie as well. Like they still edit between other cameras, but it's a lot for Hardcore Henry. But yeah, the original video Bad Motherfucker is pretty great. But I think that's what is inspired a lot of the found footage of this time.
Sure.
Is they saw that they got the idea of like doing action. Like there's not a whole lot of action in Gonjiam of this nature where like they're falling through floors and they're doing physical fights and stuff, but it still has kind of that more kinetic motion rather than, like Blair Witch or Paranormal Activity.
Yeah, where it's like just facing their this one especially where they are doing so much of the first person with the arms out in front like you're a video game character.
Mm-hmm, right.
Like you are seeing both of his arms out in front. Even when he's not carrying something or doing an action, it feels like you're seeing his arms out in front so you can orient that, like these are your arms now.
Yeah. This is you. Aren't you scared? Aren't you scared in the haunted house? This is you now.
Yeah. This is you if you had a bunch of really bad tattoos like it's like a club or like a ace of spades.
Yeah. Meanwhile, you're at home just digging in your belly button, fucking squinting at the screen, trying to see any fucking thing.
No, it's just everything's green. They, as far as I know, shooting a skinwalker with a silver bullet does not affect them. That's a werewolf thing.
Yeah, that's werewolf shit.
That pissed me off. I know I'm harping on it, but that pissed me off. Also, was Brian like? I get it. We get his whole story. His backstory is he's like a skinny pillhead. Was he also Delta Force and you just didn't fucking mention it? Because like he's an absolute badass. He fucking like overpowers a vampire. You know what I mean?
Right. There's
no reason why this skinny little like fucking like pillhead bitch is like as strong as he is. He looks like he's 160 pounds soaking wet.
Okay, so I have a lot of problems with the character of Brian, but they needed to do one of two things. The funny thing to do is just have him take a bunch of oxys, and that makes him strong and like impervious to pain.
Resistant to pain.
Yeah,
exactly. Like the drunk man approach. Yeah.
Yeah. So just let him fucking hit a power up, like a video game, but his power up is fucking oxy. The other thing this movie really should have done, and it probably would have made the movie better, is like early on we get this kind of fucking camera facing monologue from Brian, and he's going on about his sobriety, and he's talking about they literally do there's two wolves inside of you. Fucking,
oh god, yeah, that was cringy as fuck.
They literally do that, but that's why you think they're setting you up for something. Like, it should have been.
He's a werewolf. Yeah. I thought he was going to be a fucking monster.
Yeah, he should have been, because that's far more interesting to make one of these three monsters that show up for the video shoot be a fraud.
Sure.
Make them a fraud that they're faking it. And then the reality is Brian is an actual werewolf. And then, you get to play with that. It's a common trope, but you get to play with the addiction trope, at least.
Yeah, at least it's turning on its head, where it's like it's not the monster issue. So him being a monster isn't the proxy for the addiction. It is he is addicted literally, but also he is also a monster.
Yeah,
like that would have been at least like one layer of the onion being pulled back. Instead, we just are staring at a whole onion.
Yeah. Or like, I mean, you could even set it up that like he does oxy or fent to fight off the werewolf transformation.
Sure.
Like he gives himself the nods so he doesn't turn into a dog man.
But then like he's just all slumped over on the sidewalk, like, just going rawr, rawr, rawr.
Yeah. Hey, you good?
You wouldn't like me when I wasn't on Fent.
I come and get you is what I'd do.
It's kind of like that scene from Beer Fest where he's like, blah, 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 martini, and he thinks he's like, why don't you get out of them clothes and get into a dry, why don't you get out of those wet clothes, get into a dry martini. And then they cut to what he actually said. He's just like, blah, blah, martini.
He's got the fucking box on his head, and he's like,
he's got the beer box on his head. They're like, she's like, get away from me. He's like, all right. I love that fucking
God, movie. That movie rules.
It's so funny. Eat this tomato, asshole. So we get a jump scare from a fucking goat skull. It's like, how I get it. I'm trying to think of, okay, this was 2017. It's probably shot in 2016. Like the whole, goat skull, freaking folk horror thing has become a lot bigger in the last 5 to 8 years. But we do get a goat skull guy, whatever. we're like, oh, who's he? No, who's the only other fucking person that's been in this movie that we haven't seen yet since you came to his haunted house? So in what I can only describe as a video game quick time event, Brian sprays the demon with holy water. Like, they treat it like it's a quick time event.
Yeah.
She's crawling. You see his legs out in front of him, and he's like, quick, throw me the holy water. Turn. We hit X at the exact right time to catch the holy water and then shake it all over the demon's face. She does all the demon things, crab walking, just all the most stereotypical demon, chattery, fidgety running and crab walking backwards and all that shit. Yeah. Brian gets her with the old Lord's Prayer and the cross. And then this was funny. I'm watching it on Tubi. Just as he's doing the whole Lord's Prayer on the cross and she's screaming, hard cut to a Giant Eagle ad.
Sick.
It was funny. It was like a Giant Eagle ad that was like testimonials of like people that are like, I love the personal service at the deli. Like, it's just, it was great.
I keep seeing that ad and I want to recut it and just like put myself into it and just be like, there's no fucking reason ham salad should be $10 a pound.
Or it's you like, I like to stick crab legs down my pants when I go to the bathroom. Like, just talking about you get away with stealing shit at Giant Eagle or whatever.
Hey, you just can go in there and take a big dump and they can't stop you.
Hey, if you just go to the self checkout, you can just not scan shit. They won't even know.
They won't even know. They don't check. Ain't got no one at the doors.
You think the teenagers do you think they care? They don't care.
It's not like Target. You can take things.
Brian is now also like back at his house. So he has like I forget what happens. He like passes out or something and he wakes up and he's at his house on his birthday, but it's spooky. And he's having some sort of flashback. And the demon is telling him like he killed all his friends. He sold them like fent-laced smack, basically. And they died. Like 3 of his friends died, OD'd.
Yep.
So this is why he's so guilty, because he was selling smack and it had, I don't know. This might have been before the whole Fent thing. I don't know, but he sold them some bad smack and they died. And the funny thing about this is Shiori really spells it out. She's like, you sold them the drugs that made them be not alive anymore, Brian, the guy from the movie.
You killed them. Aren't you sad? You killed them.
You killed them, but it was an indirect thing because you sold them bad drugs, but they still died from it, and that's why you feel bad. It's like very, very spelled out.
Yeah. Again, written by a 12-year-old, punched up by a 22-year-old.
Yeah. Shiori's face at this point looks like it was made with a free iPad app. Like, it looks really, really bad.
Doodled on.
Yeah. Anyway, the demon then like jumps into Muriel. And then it reveals that it's Baphomet.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is not Baphomet behavior at all. Baphomet is all about live and let live. Do your own shit as long as you don't fuck with anybody else. That's Baphomet's whole fucking deal. And this is decidedly un-Baphomet behavior. He's way chiller than this. Then we get a shadow of Brian stabbing Shiori in the head with this like little blunt cross. It's dumb, but Muriel's okay now, so who cares? Jamal's injury is now like he's got a bad case of the pulsating ribs. Not really sure why, but that's what's happening to him.
So I think at this point he's supposed to be turning into a skinwalker. But
really?
I know, but that's not what that's not what the skinwalker said in his interview about how you become a skinwalker. But I think
you have to murder a family member or something, right?
Yeah. And that's not what Jamal did. He just got attacked, but he has like his spine is showing and is pulsating, and they have some makeup on his face that I don't think you get a whole good shot of, but it looks like he's doing a transformation. And
but like you don't turn into a skinwalker like you do a vampire.
No. And
or even a werewolf.
Right.
For that matter.
We're even told that by the movie, that's not how it happens. And like that.
Skinwalkers are like ancient things. Singular ancient things.
Yeah.
It's not like a herd of them just stumbles into town like zombies.
No. This is where this movie doesn't know what the fuck it was doing at the end with the ritual, because did you want all of these people to turn into things? Like, did they want Muriel to become a vampire and Jamal become a skinwalker and Brian get possessed by the demon, but then also Muriel got possessed by the demon? Did you want one vessel to take on the powers of all three? Like, what the fuck did this movie want? It
fell apart, and you could tell it's just like, let's shoot what we can get. Let's shoot what we can shoot, and then we'll edit it together, because it completely lost its path at this point, and it just becomes all out, fucking monster mayhem here. Yeah, because now Muriel is turning into a vampire, and listen, to her credit, she's going for it with the performance.
Sure, yeah,
which I appreciated. But early on, she's overacting everything, but her overacting at least like plays to her advantage in this scene. So she's really going for it, which good for her. Devin reveals like basically why he's in the movie is he's planned all this. He's planned all this or something. Yeah. And then there's the fucking llama goat guy. He's still around, just saying like cryptic shit, just popping up and saying cryptic shit on the dark ride. Muriel wakes up as a vampire, attacks Brian, and because he's, fucking Buffy the fucking pillhead, he dispatches her pretty quick. He gets a little emo about it, obviously, because that's who he is. But Brian then jumps out.
Brian the pill pop man.
Yeah, he jumps out the window, which is also another kind of emo move.
Yeah,
and then he runs into the woods. He's getting chased by the skinwalker in the woods, and it's just dark ride shit in the woods. Fine, whatever. The skinwalker, he gets cornered in this little shed or something, and he has this. I don't know if it's like a wrought iron or like a spear or something. I'm not really sure what he has. But he just holds it up, and the skinwalker just walks into it, just impales himself on it.
Yeah.
It's really fucking dumb.
And
this is not skinwalker behavior at all.
And was that supposed to be silver because it stopped him?
Yeah.
Or is it just...
is there just a like, first of all, that thing, if that was pure silver, that thing weighs like 100, it weighs more than Brian. Second of all, he's not going to walk into it. It's literally like a zombie just walking. I guess, I don't know if he was trying to suggest it was dark, but like,
but he would have had better eyes. He would have had better eyesight.
Skinwalkers can see in the dark. Yeah. I'm just saying.
Ain't no way they
I'm
can't.
going to go on a limb here and say skinwalkers can see in the dark. It's very, very dumb. Anyway, Brian goes back. He finds his pentagram with like Devin's like printed out Facebook profile picture, and also like the goat guy is there, and some cloaked occultists. Oh, no. Like, they just look like some of the high school friends in cloaks.
Yeah. Put this on. Don't show your face. Don't move.
Devin has wizard powers now.
Sure.
he levitates Brian up and like smashes him into shit. Like he's got full on fucking wizard powers.
Yeah.
He explains his whole like occult plan in great detail, and Because after he explains, like, we're going to do devil shit and I am wizard powers, then he goes, the documentary isn't what you think it is. Like, yeah, dude, I think that fucking ship has sailed, Sherlock. Like,
no shit.
No shit, dickweed. You just fucking levitated me, smashed me against the ceiling. I don't think our project is still going on as planned. Like, what if he's picked him up, smashed him against the wall, just murdered somebody, and then's like, how do you think the project's going? Like,
do you think we're gonna get a lot of views on this? like yeah. We're far past beyond the point of him going, oh, it's just a prank, bro. Just a prank.
Yeah. You just stabbed a guy with a fucking spear.
Yeah, it's like, I've killed 2 women and a dog, man. I think I'm past.
This is not a prank.
I'm not worried about the $600 you're paying me to hold the boom at this point.
Devin, it's just, I don't know. I guess he's just like a normal guy. He's just trying to get ahead in life and also simultaneously get back at God, I guess, or something. Yeah. We're not really sure what. It's not really explained.
It's not explained. It's fucking stupid. And this is another thing of writing where the movie didn't realize it had its own, like, setup. It already set something up that it doesn't pay off. And the setup for this is, earlier in the movie, we learned Devin was Muriel's ex, but he left her and moved out and went to go find himself. Then he comes back out of nowhere and restarts doing the monster videos with Jamal, and then tricks all of them to go to the spooky, scary haunted house.
Mm-hmm.
What should have been is that Devin is not in charge of anything. He is, like, under threat of Satanists. Like, in his travels away from Muriel, he ran afoul of Satanists who are now pushing and controlling him to gather these people for a ritual. You know, like, he is a fucking tool. We don't like him. And so when we learn...
And then Richard cuts his fucking head off once he's got all the people in the right place.
Exactly.
Like, just make him a toady that's been just manipulated the whole time, not a fucking... supreme wizard.
Right, yeah, because it makes no sense. I went away, but now I've found myself, and now I'm the wizard. And it's like, no, you are a dick in a polo. You are a scam artist who gets fucking taken in by real power and gets tricked by real power and real evil because you don't have the fucking skills to actually, navigate that. But you do have the skills to trick people less aware than you into doing something dumb, like going to a haunted spooky house that's full of monsters on the fucking lunar eclipse that's also full of Satanists and a screaming wheelchair woman.
Well, this is the thing. We got no reveal about Martha, the wheelchair woman, except for that she doesn't really need the wheelchair.
She's a
and
faker.
That is not that's not that big of a reveal. No. Like the big reveal of the movie is the only other 2 characters we were introduced to come back at the end of the movie. That's the reveal. That's the big twist. And of course it's Richard. You mean the weird guy who supplied the creepy house is in on this somehow? Like, the most predictable thing of all time. And Richard. So Richard's of course the guy in the goat suit. Martha and him are in on the whole ritual, obviously. Martha runs up and we get a first person of Martha slashing Brian's throat, which I think they thought was probably this really sick payoff, shot. And she's got a little satanic ritual chalice and she's getting some of his yummy juice for the ritual. And then Brian starts turning into a vampire, I guess, and fine. And then the movie, in maybe the most predictable thing of all time, finishes with a shitty Brian as a vampire jump scare.
Yeah. Shitty Brian is a vampire and or demon, whatever. And Devin ascends to the mantle of Antichrist, but like off screen because Brian's camera is looking.
Oh yeah, because he's a big fucking scary moth looking thing or something. I don't know.
I think
some sort of winged thing.
Yeah, I think it was supposed to be winged Baphomet because he makes the old guy put the goat head mask on top of him. But the thing is, you never see what happens because we're looking down at Brian's dick when it all happens. You just see a bright light and then a shadow, and it's like, whatever. Who fucking cares? It doesn't matter. And then you stop and think, oh wait, this is all found footage. Who the fuck collated all of this? Who grabbed the werewolf's body cam footage? Where'd they get that up? And then they all edit it together for us to watch. It doesn't matter. The world's over. The Antichrist has come. Shut up, movie. Turn off.
I like to think, please turn off, movie. Be gone, movie. I do like to believe, and I was going to bring this up, I like to believe Baphomet actually got all the cameras together and made Martha edit it all together just for posterity, just to show the because we know Baphomet. First of all, knowing Baphomet, we know this is un-Baphomet like behavior. But if Baphomet is a demon, right? He's not the demon. He's not Satan, right? So he does have to show proof of his work to make sure everything was performed, the ritual was performed right, and all that stuff. So that's why he collected all the footage or the cameras. That's why he made Richard or Martha or both of them learn editing software to edit it together for posterity purposes to show he did everything by the book, by the demon book.
Well, his dumb ass should have done a second pass and told her to turn up the brightness on some of this footage.
Well, that explains a lot. It explains why this movie sucks. It's because it was edited together by Richard and Martha. They're fucking 100 years old. Yeah. They don't know this shit. They're too old.
They're 100 years old. He has cloven hooves. He can't work the mouse and keyboard. He doesn't know the
No, so she's got to, and then they have such a hard time communicating because Richard's like, no, turn up the brightness, and she's just screaming.
Right. Yeah.
That's the only way she communicates is with loud, shrill shrieks.
She doesn't need the wheelchair, but she does only communicate and screams.
Yeah. She just likes the wheelchair.
Yeah. She's just into it. She likes defrauding the government. It's her thing.
Oh yeah, her whole thing is she's on disability and like she's super paranoid about it. So like she thinks like someone's gonna come around or spying, so she's always in the wheelchair. Yeah. That's
how they got picked by the demons. They're evil. They like to defraud the government.
Yeah. That's the Monster Project, guys. It sucks. It's bad. Don't watch it. I mean, I'd be lying if I said I'm not curious about I think the only other feature-length film by this director that seems to have gotten much worse reviews. I have a feeling it's gonna be a lot of the same, but even less, probably even more boring. But anyway, thanks a lot, Ron. Thanks a fucking lot.
Thanks, Ron. Fuck you, Ron. There is another thing. It's not directed by this director, but it is produced by the writers. They made a 11 episode kind of short films, and it's on YouTube, but it's all about Shiori and her demon. It's just 11 episodes of The Smiling Man. And I
poo poo pee pee man.
Yeah, right.
More like poo poo pee pee man.
Yeah. Shiori and the pee pee poo poo man. I might go watch it though, just because it's supposed to give like backstory and origins, and I want to watch it just because I want it to turn out that they made 11 episodes about a fucking yokai that would have nothing to do with Jesus Christ. I just want it to be a further like nail in the coffin of this movie's stupid and doesn't know what it's doing.
Yeah. It's just like one of those really fucking obscure like yokai that's like, it's a pumpkin with BO that scares people after they get back from the grocery store. Like it's one of those like really fucking obscure, silly ones.
It's an old man with seaweed for ass hair.
Dude, I love going down the rabbit hole of bonkers ass yokai.
That's a
because it'll be like for every 2 or 3 like scorn murdered women, it'll be like giant foot monster that toasts marshmallows. You're like, what the fuck?
That's a movie we should watch, but it doesn't follow.
Oh, the 100 yokai, 100 monsters or whatever. What's it called?
The Great Yokai War.
Oh, that's not what I was thinking. What's the one that's got all the yokai in it that's like 100 monsters or whatever?
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, that's a different one. But I kind of know what you're talking about. But no, there's from 2005, directed by Takashi Miike. There's a film called The Great Yokai War.
Oh, yeah. I was thinking of Yokai Monsters: 100 Monsters, and then I think there's 3 movies in that series.
Yeah,
but they are fun and very wacky.
Yeah, but they're not full on horror. It's just like they're just more like I don't know. What was the Fred Savage movie, Monster Under My Bed? They're kind of like that.
Oh, all I want to say is Freddy Got Fingered. It's not Freddy.
No.
It's that's Tom Green. It's hold on, don't tell me. It is Fred. It's something about Fred, right?
No. No.
The monster under his bed. Yeah, that's played by Howie Mandel.
Played by Howie Mandel. Yeah, played by Howie Mandel. Little Monsters. Damn it. I'm getting confused with something else. Yeah, it was I'll be honest with you, I fucking loved that movie when I was a kid. Loved that movie. Yeah. But I think that's I haven't seen those Great Yokai War monster movies, but I think that's what they're more like. They're, like there's monsters, but they're not meant to be actual horror movies. Yeah. Yeah, Howie Mandel and Daniel Stern. Of course you love that movie.
Yeah, that's got all my favorite things. All right. Don't you fucking forget, you guys. You got to go vote on our July Showdown episode. We're going to do a new topic we've never done before. I'm excited. We're going to do deadly diseases, or we're going to do all male cast, or we're going to do cute but creepy. I think all of those would be fun. And we could go in a lot of weird directions, which I'm excited about. And as always, we are going to be, believe it or not, before we fucking know it, we're going to be getting into spooky season. So start to give us those suggestions. You don't have to be spooky season movies. They could be, you know what? Give me some summer trash. I've not been watching enough summer trash. I've been playing video games lately, which I haven't done in years. I've been reading spooky shit. And actually I've been on a real Philip K. Dick wacky sci-fi kick lately. Been on a dick kick lately. But I've also been playing video games. And I'm watching baseball. But I need some spooky summer trash. So give me some trash ass horror movies for the summertime here.
Trash.
Slide onto the DM. Send them our way. Anything else, Steven, before we wrap this son of a bitch up? Did
you see the Guillermo del Toro Frankenstein trailer?
Oh, you bet your sweet ass I saw the Frankenstein trailer. It's going to be good. None of his movies are bad.
Yeah,
some are better than others. Yeah. He does obviously more fantasy, romantic takes on the Universal, monster movies. Obviously, freaking Shape of Water was his creature, right? Which was fantastic, but it was like a fucking doomed romance kind of thing. I know, just for having been a fan of his for a long time, I know he's a huge fan of, the original source material here for Frankenstein. So I'm sure it's going to be much closer to the book, which I'm excited about, which is the main reason why I like Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, which that's the De Niro one.
That's what I'm curious about, because so watching that trailer, I saw like a lot of Kenneth Branagh's, and like we talked about how Kenneth Branagh has like some amazing set pieces in that film, but he tries to do the entire fucking book, and it doesn't work, and De Niro doesn't work for me. So like there's a lot of that, but I saw a lot of Branagh's film in Del Toro's kind of setup, but I'm wondering like what is the scope of his film? Is it going to be more
big and broad? I think it's going to be big and broad. But it will undoubtedly be a lot more romantic.
Mm-hmm.
And I like, you know, the Branagh film focused a lot on the part where he's trying to become more human and kind of develops feelings for the family, you know, the peasant family and all that, like really focuses on that and focuses less really on the relationship with the revenge element and the love element, you know what I mean, with Elizabeth and Victor. So I think this is going to focus more on that because, you know, I mean, look at his other movies. He loves interpersonal relationships. He loves like doomed romance. He loves all that sort of stuff. And of course it's going to be revenge because it's Frankenstein. It's a revenge story. So, yeah, I'm intrigued. The thing that I think like hamstring the Branagh one, and I think we mentioned it, was in the book they don't really mention that much about how, like, it doesn't get into the nitty gritty of how the monster was physically made very much.
Yeah, we talked about that. It
kind of skips. Okay. Yeah. It kind of skips over that in the book.
Yeah.
It doesn't get into all that nitty gritty, hey, stitching his fucking face together and stuff. Like, you just imagine him almost like, I remember reading, you know, you think of Frankenstein as, you know, obviously the original Universal monster image pops into my head. I'm a huge fan of that. But even like the piece together ghoulish look that they did in the Branagh film, when I reread the book, like this last year, I think it was, I almost imagine him as like fucking Silver Surfer. You know what I mean? He's just like this weird, perfect physical specimen that's like hyper fast and hyper strong and is almost like faceless. You know what I mean? And
you could also take like the engineers from Prometheus, just like those big pallid white guys, because they are just 7 foot tall, all jacked muscle, and they have like, but it also would make sense that they would have no color in their skin because they're not pumping blood properly or something like that. So you could just you could put that in as Frankenstein, which is an interesting kind of like turn because it's called Prometheus. Well, so I bet that's what Ridley Scott actually was thinking of. He's like,
the like modern Prometheus thing. Yeah.
What if Frankenstein created man?
Well, this is the thing. I have a feeling he's going to go that direction, and people are going to fucking hate it because they want monster. They want a monster,
right? Yeah, yeah. They've been very deliberate in that trailer to not show his face
at all. Not even any really almost parts of his body.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I'm okay with it. I liked what they showed of him being brought to life because it looked like a mix of like the Universal monster, because he's obviously harnessing lightning. You know,
sure.
He's not.
You can't not do that. Yeah. Unfortunately, you can't not do that.
Well, you can, but then you wind up with electric eels and amniotic fluid. But
well, he took it so far in that direction, which was also fun. But like, I mean, they've got to do some organic laboratory shit. They can't just be like, and here he is, like he's in the book. You know, I worked really hard and I figured it out, and now there's a monster.
I worked real hard. I got it, you guys. But I like that it's a mix of like the classic imagery that we think of from the Universal films, but it did look a lot more like the steampunk craziness that Branagh had going on. With like he's got a bunch of goo vats going on with crazy lights for no fuck reason, and it's like that's fun. I wanted to go super like almost like weird organic body horror, like turn Frankenstein into like a fucking Zerg, you know what I mean, from StarCraft, you know what I mean, like you grow him in a fucking weird egg that would roll, splotches open. That would roll. Know, I want it to be like do you remember the Terminator 2 playset where you squeezed a bunch of weird skin on top of a endoskeleton?
Oh, yes. Do that. I never had that. But yeah, I remember the commercial for that. Yeah. That was sick.
Have him grind up a bunch of bodies and it makes a fucking slurry and then it turns into a goo that goes over a skeleton. Make that. Yeah. And that's why he's all awesome. That's why he's all smooth and weird.
Transparent. Semi-transparent. Yes, I'm excited for it. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be fun. He does, like I said, he doesn't make a bad movie.
No.
Even if people don't like it, he doesn't make a bad movie.
Yep. If you thought it was bad, it was wrong. Okay, one more thing before we go.
Yes.
Ron wanted to know what we thought of the Resident Evil 9 trailer.
Oh, I have not seen it yet.
Oh, okay.
Did you check it out?
Yeah, like it was premiered part of like the Summer Game Fest where that was this week, and they showed off a whole bunch of games, which like there was some good stuff in there. There's a new Silent Hill coming out that looks pretty good.
I heard about that.
Yeah, but yeah, the big surprise was Resident Evil 9, and so I'll give you the premise of the game is apparently you're playing as an FBI agent who is the daughter of a character from a more obscure Resident Evil game. The game was Resident Evil Outbreak. I don't know if you remember this one.
I remember it coming out. I did not play it.
Yeah.
Was that the one that was exclusively on GameCube?
I don't think it was exclusively on GameCube. I think it was on PlayStation 2. But the thing about that game was it was a very early online game.
Oh, okay.
And so, so you had to have like the PS2 online adapter, and you had to have a good enough connection, and I guarantee neither of us growing up where we did had the fucking internet to do that. And so I know I didn't play it, and I know a bunch of other people didn't play it. But so you play as the daughter as a character in one of those games, and then they send you back to Raccoon City to investigate, and Raccoon City has been exploded obviously by the nuclear weapon from Resident Evil 2 and 3.
Yeah.
So you get to investigate all that stuff, years aftermath. And so it looks like we'll be finding out what grew in the soil from
the T-virus and nuclear fallout.
Right. Yeah. So it looks
I bet
scary.
It's gross.
Yep. It looks scary and goopy.
I love I haven't played a bunch of the newer Resident Evil games, but like the ones that I fell in love with, I mean my favorite is, despite how amazing 4 is, and I love 4 and I love the setting, 2 is my when I think Resident Evil, I think 2.
Right.
I think Raccoon City Police Department. I think the streets of Raccoon City. Like that's what I love. Going and fucking flaming buses and shooting zombies coming to life on the ground and shit like that.
They showed the bus. They showed a bus in the trailer.
Yeah,
and it's just like it's melted. Like it's melted from the heat of the bomb. They show the police department. They show like a big crater. So it's like, oh hey, I get to explore all these things I half remember now that they're all destroyed.
They're just melted. Yeah. So that sounds awesome. I'm waiting to pull the trigger on a new gaming system. Like I said, I've been getting into playing some games lately for the first time in a long time, and I currently don't have I have a Switch, and I have an old Xbox One, but I think in the coming year or so I'll probably upgrade to some newer console. And I know everybody plays on PC and stuff now, but I'm an old school console dweeb. Yeah. So that's probably what I'll end up playing on.
I don't want to, because they didn't say what Resident Evil 9 was going to come out on, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's able to be played on the Switch too. And it said it was coming out in February of 2026. So I don't know, maybe buy yourself a Switch 2 for Christmas, and then you'll be able to have Resident Evil 9 for Valentine's Day.
Well, there you go. Sounds romantic. All right, Boils and Ghouls, thank you once again for joining us. For the Halloween is Forever crew, I'm Brian.
And I'm the tyrant with my big scary eye and my claws.
Watch out, he's breaking walls. He's got big fists.